Hello, JamPlay members. We are lucky enough to be here with Tommy Emmanuel today. And Tommy, thank you very much for your time.
Well, you got the green thumb pick
yes,
there.
sir, I do.
The green thumb
and we
pick.
talked about that yesterday. It's one of my favorite songs.
Thank you.
We want to spend a little bit of time introducing you to the students that we have around the world, as if they didn't know you already. But I'd also like to just give them an opportunity to hear from you some ideas about learning. We get a lot of questions about you and your style and this thumb independence. You know, everybody, that's the first hurdle. And but first, I'd like to talk just a little bit of background in case anybody doesn't know, from starting out in Australia, listening, playing by ear, and how the journey went from there on the guitar.
Well, it's still continuing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I'm playing more than I ever have at the moment. You know, I'm doing about 330 concerts a year. Plus, I play a lot. Aside from playing concerts, I practice a lot. I carry this guitar in a little zip bag.
Yes.
And so I get it out and play it at airports and on trains and on buses and
over breakfast yesterday morning.
And breakfast, exactly, yeah. Well, I just love to play, you know, and it's the guitar is such a fascinating instrument, and you know, you pick it up and it's different every time because we perceive things in a different way every day of our life. We're always different, you know, and like I can hear a song and play it and think that's just the right tempo, and I might hear it a month later and go, that's too fast, it should have been a little slower. And then like the opposite, I recorded some stuff earlier this year and I had to listen to it about a week ago, and I said I got to redo that because that's too slow. And that's you know, that's your perception of it on this day, you know. Now, the ideal thing is to find the right tempo for a song and try to remember it, I guess, you know. But I started out playing the guitar as a rhythm player from my mother, who played the lap steel. Okay. And then my brother Phil took up the guitar about the same time I did, and we played surfy kind of music, you know, early '60s instrumentals by the Ventures and the Shadows and Duane Eddy.
Yes.
And then I discovered people like Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and people whose records just sounded so great to us, and tried to copy as many licks and steal as much as we possibly could. And I was 7 years old when I heard Chet on the radio, heard the great Chet Atkins on the radio. And you know, he was playing a tune called Windy and Warm, which goes... I've never heard that sound before, the sound of someone doing everything, you know. And of course, so many people, when they first heard Chet Atkins, they said, oh, it's a recording trick, you know, you can't really do all that. But I could hear what he was doing. It's hard to explain that, but because I was only 7 years old. But I could hear what he was doing, you know. And actually, to backtrack a little bit to explain about how my ear works, when I first started playing, as I said, I was a rhythm player, and my brother played the lead parts. So I had to play the rhythm parts, and because there was a bass on there as well, I wasn't aware that it was a bass guitar. I thought the rhythm player played... Right? So what was going on was the rhythm player was playing, and the bass player was going... But I thought the rhythm player was going... kind of thing, and you know, playing. And my brother played melody over the top of that. So it wasn't until I saw a band where there was a bass player, and I was like, what's that guitar with 4 strings? It's, you know, and the guy said, well, that's the bass. And that's when I discovered that, but I've already...
Been working too hard.
No, but I'd already worked out, well, we were a quartet, but there was no bass player. I had to do it. So I think that's what, in the course of nature taking its course with me as a musician, I believe that's what prepared me for when I heard Chet Atkins. I could hear what he was doing, kind of. you know, I didn't know everything about what he was doing, of course, because it was way too sophisticated for my ear in those days. And but I could hear that he was playing the bass and the rhythm and the melody all at the same time.
Right.
And I started out playing fingerstyle, not with a thumb pick. I started out playing with a plectrum. Right? So I was playing like that. And
Jeff's favorite song.
little Chet
Yes,
on the end
sir.
there. So, and then I saw a photo of Chet on the cover of an album, and he was playing a thumb pick, you know, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's, and that kind of freed my right hand up a lot more, so I didn't have to hold that pick. I could just, you know, lay my thumb in like that. And that's how I got started playing fingerstyle.
Yeah, it freed it up for you. But for somebody like me that started with the thumb pick and now wants to go back and do the hybrid picking,
Right.
I'm finding that a huge hurdle. I think you have an advantage of having started that way.
Could be. Who knows? I mean, everybody evolves in the way they're meant to, I guess, you know. I know some guitar players who didn't start playing till they were 25, and they became really good. They didn't even know that they had that gift, you know. So it's different for everybody. The guitar has been my life. It's been my constant companion. It's been my way of communicating and expanding myself into the world.
Yes.
It's the bridge that gets me across to you and to everybody out there.
Yeah.
The guitar has brought me all over the world, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about Chet Atkins. If you can't see it on the camera, that's CGP on the 12th fret. Can you tell us just a little bit about the story of working with Chet finally in Nashville,
all right.
and then the
Well, you know,
CGP?
he was one of the most powerful people in music, especially in Nashville. A great innovator, but also a fantastic producer, a great record producer, and just a great all-round musician. And he put artists with songs, and then get the right song for the right artist, and then get the right musicians in to play that song. And so he was a very powerful guy like that. But he encouraged me ever since I was very young. He encouraged me in my playing and in my songwriting, and we became really good friends over the years. And then I started coming to Nashville and living out at his house, and getting a chance to play with him a lot. And I got invited to play at different shows, and we did a couple of TV shows. We did the Grand Ole Opry and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, for a kid from nowhere, it was a dream come true. It was more than that, you know.
Yes.
It was larger than life. And even now, sometimes I think about it, and I think, did that really happen? You know, it was phenomenal. But you know, one of the things I learned from Chet is that your arrangement must be interesting, the groove must be there, and the melody must be there.
Yes.
You know, and if you ever wanted to learn a song and get the melody right, you always referred back to Chet, because he was a stickler for the melody being right. You know. And a lot of guitar players make the mistake of trying to learn something, and when the difficult part comes up, they just modify it to suit them, because they can't be bothered going the extra hurdle, you know, and that's not good enough,
right?
You know, and so it sounds unfinished and unwelcome to my ear. You know, you gotta make sure that everything about the song that you're playing is right. You know, and I don't play a song on stage until I'm totally happy with it. You know, that I know for sure that every millisecond of that song is right. If there's a weak part, it's got to go.